Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars. It is Saturday. It's a little cool, not near as warm as yesterday when I was at work until 7. But we got home last night, we put these through the paces, grabbed these Thursday, used them Friday at work, did an update, basically combined two videos into one. Hopefully that goes over well. Again, I do use timestamps. They're there for your convenience, along with product links, and obviously I make nothing off of that, again, solely for your convenience. Now, this one came a little, like, this is the newest thing, second newest, I guess, that we've picked up, and went ahead and expedited that because they're brand new. It's not just a deal where, you know, like, oh, I think I'm going to try that. It was brand new, and it had cross-hatching, and that's what drew me in, and the rest is history. So, kind of trying to play a little bit of catch-up here. I have something I'm actually pretty excited about, and it's sort of a, it's kind of one of those things, like, this was available, and there were no other options, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw this down for you right here. I don't know if you're thinking, like, good lord, more icon tools. Well, that's right. And this is the metric stubby wrench set. So first thing first, obviously Harbor Freight. What did they cost? I believe $59. I think they were on, like, they sometimes have started doing, it's not like a coupon or a, you know, deal. It's just like they'll reduced price, and then if you look, it's a deal where it's like reduced for only a week or two type of a thing. So we might have snagged these for $49, but I felt like for 10 wrenches, even at $59, I felt like, you know, that's not bad. And here's why. Number one, this was a situation like no one had me anything for Christmas. And so, you know, people like felt bad, and it was like, well, you can run in there and get you something. And I'd kind of shown these to my mom. She's like, oh, I like that they're little. And so here we are, you know, so she, like, you know, handed me $60, ran in and grabbed them. I rarely ever buy anything at Harbor Freight without a coupon, usually a big coupon. It's gotten to a point where, like, I'll force my nephew to go in with me, you know, like when it's a 20% deal. Because sometimes, you know, you can't, like, go every day. You get, like, limited free time, and so we did that, you know, here recently with the New Year coupon. You'll see that stuff coming up as well. But long story short, that's how these originated. And if you're thinking like, oh man, you know, this, I thought you were into German tools. Why didn't you get German stubby wrenches here? You always say they don't make their full product line in, you know, SAE or fractional sizes, but surely, you know, you could have grabbed something from Stavilla, you know, or Gador or Hazette even. Maybe even buy Hazette for us, you know, since they would be half-size wrenches and more affordable. Here's the thing, to the best of my knowledge, while it is true there's many offerings, you know, from German companies that doesn't have an SAE equivalent, I have never seen, they could be out there, maybe they've ceased production, maybe they're just, like, not advertised or promoted or stocked or something. To the best of my knowledge, there is not a stubby wrench from any of those companies, and I wish that there was. Even in metric, I would have brought it in and then just dreamed that, you know, I wish they'd make an SE one, which they'd probably never do, but there's not. And so if you think like, oh, well, surely you could have found something, a better quality loser. Well, I did. I think I did. They're awesome. They're one of the coolest looking wrenches I have ever seen. Not that that matters, but it is something. If they suck, it's, you know, an antidote, you know, to make them suck less. And if they're amazing, it just makes them super cool on top of being amazing quality. And I don't know how to pronounce it. We're probably going to butcher it as like ASHAI, however you pronounce that. Ashi, I don't know. Yoshi, they make a really cool wrench, and it's stubby. It's almost like the X-frame, if that, you know, like design would have taken shape, but on a thinner profile and like with more cutouts, so they're super lightweight. And I love them. I liked all the stuff they were posting. You know, I left comments like, hey, you know, hey, where can I buy a set? How do I get some? You know, in the US, I think I even sent a message. I never heard back, and I legitimately cannot find them. If you search even the brand over, you get like some Chris Koss videos, and I assume he probably grabbed them from Japan. I think I found some like full-size wrenches, but then in the stubbies, they would only list like a few sizes, but you, like online, but then you'd see like a picture and there was a set in the background. I have no idea how to get them. I don't know what they cost. I wouldn't think it would be terrible. But if I can't, like, when you go straight to the company, and I do this all the time, you know, like with things, you know, something I see come out and I'm like, hey, you know, this isn't listed anywhere, what's the deal? And then, you know, some lady or dude at the company will be like, oh, we're so glad you're interested. You know, why don't you try this vendor, and this vendor? And then a lot of times, you know, like you see stuff and it's never like explained. And I'm like, man, I really want to try that. And they're like, oh, you know, sorry, that was pre-release. They're not slated to go to vendors for 6 months. And you're like, what? You know, like, details, folks, they matter. But that aside, like when you go straight to the company, like I've never had much trouble with somebody telling me like, oh, great, you want to buy our wrenches. Here's a list of 10 vendors and links so you can just put them in your cart and get them. That didn't happen. Like you get nothing back. And I don't know, maybe it's like lost in translation. Who knows? I don't know. It's probably a relatively small company. But that was sad to me, but that's really the only other option. So if any of you are like bilingual or like Japanese tool super fans or something, or, you know, you like source stuff, I don't know if like Frank's Tools has them. I mean, somebody probably could get them. But it got to a point where it's like, man, you know, when you don't hear back from the company, like, oh, hey, you know, so-and-so has them. They don't really have them on their site, but just tell them we sent you and I'm sure they'll get you a set. It was nothing. So that ship sailed. And like I said, I don't know the price. Like if they would have been, you know, like $100 a wrench, you know, sort of like the high-end Nipros, like artsy stuff, I would have said no, thanks. But cool-looking wrench nonetheless. So that's it. I can't go German, right? And I cannot come in and I can't get the cool, super awesome-looking Japanese ones, which buzzkill, right? But we were able to get these, and again, there are, you know, like Tekton, when I was looking at ratcheting wrenches, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to try Tekton. They haven't been in stock for forever. Now, in the case of this set, if you haven't, like, figured it out yet, these are not ratcheting, and I think, like, oh, you know, who would do that? A guy that doesn't have stubby wrenches and metric would do that. In my opinion, this is a better starting point than a ratcheting stubby, right? So with the Icon Stubby ratcheting wrenches we brought in, it's because we have these, okay, the SKs that we got a super good deal on, and those are 100% legit, all US, no global components or any of that nonsense. And truth be told, I would have loved to grab this in metric, but now it's a deal where I don't really know where the source steel is coming from, and that's important to me, and the price is way higher, and it's probably, you know, comparable to this anyway, so we're going to go this route. SK would have been awesome, but the other thing I have to factor in, you know, like let's say I had this in metric and I needed these in SAE, I will use, I know it's weird, but I use SAE way more. You've got to realize I'm a man of the past. I live in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, okay? The stuff I'm into, old Mopars, there's not metric stuff, all right? It's all fractional. And that means that this is more important to me than this, because this is going to see way more use. Currently in my life, things could change. Who knows? Maybe I finally get a Viper. But as of right now, like this will see way, way, way more use than this will. So I would do the same thing. If I had no stubby wrenches in the fractional sizes, I would get the fixed wrench first. I want an open end and I want a box end. Why? It's more versatile. This is super, the ratcheting, which we have two here from the SAE Icon set. For comparison, 9/16, 3/4, we'll compare to 14 and 19. This is like a luxury item. This is super cool to have, right? But I would start with a standard fixed wrench, which is what we're doing here. At some point, maybe we get the stubby ratchetings. Hopefully we'll have like a lot of seat time with our, you know, other Icon ratcheting wrenches, so we can sort of make a baseline there before we invest in it. But this is the way to get started, in my opinion. The other nice thing about this particular set, and most follow suit, SAE, you always see 7-piece. You basically go 3/8 to 3/4. Some people are bummed because they want like 1/4 and 5/16. So some people, if you're using outside of like you specifically know that you've got like flare nuts or something that requires 7/8 or 15/16, and you cannot turn a wrench your regular size or a long pattern because of like a cylinder mast or something, I would hope that you wouldn't need bigger than 3/4 in a stubby size, right? There are probably, like I said, applications where that guy, the mast with a standard wrench, it just hits and you can't turn. You get like, you know, 1/360th and you can't make progress. So you do need a stubby to just hammer and spin it free and then, you know, go to town. But past that, like, that's a pretty comprehensive set, right? Right here, metric, you kind of get the bonus of 3 extra sizes when they do no skips, so 10 to 19. The other thing that might be sad if German companies did do these, I could easily see them going with the German efficiency pack, and then you having to buy standalone pieces like a 14 is important to me. You know, so take it for what it's worth. But all in all, for, we'll just call it 60, this was a pretty solid buy. That's 60 bucks a wrench. If we got it for 50, it's 5 bucks a wrench. Works well when there's 10 pieces, right? So starting here at the bottom, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Up here on the big end, 16, 17, 18, and 19. As they say, no skip, metric sizing. Precision machine for a perfect non-slip fit. Tough and durable polished chrome finish. The chrome has held up so far. Now, when I say that, I have not owned any of this stuff for any enough length of time to say, wow, that is good chrome. But I'm just saying in the short time that I've had them and used them, there hasn't been like anything egregious or it flakes and the whole thing peels type of a thing. This includes a premium storage tray, which I like to complain about, but I might be changing my tune on that. They are made from chrome vanadium steel, and you think, hey, I thought you were a chrome moly guy. I am with impact sockets. Everything else, vanadium is fine. So side profile here just kind of says what it is. Again, I always think of packaging with these, you know, and like if these could just stack instead of hang, but these aren't near as overkill as the packaging on the sockets, in my opinion. So back here, I like what they've done. They highlight it. They give you an idea of what it would look like in a drawer. Slim profile design for optimal comfort and grip. Right here, open end, it's smooth jaw. Precision machine for a perfect fit on all fasteners, giving you maximum torque without slippage. Again, I'm going to use stubbies when I need to use stubbies. If I can fit a giant Stavilla in there, I'm going to do that because why? It's easier. Now, if my giant Stavilla comes in and we hit, you know, like a shock tower and I have to come off and go back on and, you know, turn like a eighth of a turn every time, and this guy can come in and just woo, you know, go right up against the engine and then come off and basically makes half of a circle every single time. That's where the stubbies shine. They really are a useful tool. I would always recommend you start with standard wrenches, but the stubbies do serve a very unique place, especially the deeper you go into things. So right here, 12 point. Some people want 6 point. I want 12. Catches the fastener easy. Unless it's like a trash fastener, you know, I don't really have issues with them rounding the corners off. Obviously, you know, if you do that, you can replace the fastener. But I haven't personally had enough issues with 12-point boxed end, and that's largely been what I've used my entire life. Outside of like maybe, it's a 13-16 snap-on at work, and we don't use it, and it's old. But there are a few like Eastco and KD wrenches that are 6-point box end, and sometimes that's what you grab. But otherwise, 12 points kind of what I prefer. 15-degree offset, pretty much standard there. Some people, you know, I don't know that there's like a diverse selection of stubbies where you can get like flat or different kickoffs or offsets or anything. Kind of would be cool to see someone do that, but I would assume if there's like a high demand, people would buy it. But maybe it's one of those things, if it was developed, engineered, produced, and showcased, then people would be like, I've got to get offset stubbies, you know? In my opinion, that's actually probably a really good product for someone to make, even if it's like Snap-on or Mac, you know, just stubby size this thing, but offset that real deep. I think it'd be a good wrench. Nonetheless, 15 degrees, making it easier to reach around obstructions. It's a balanced handle design, provides a comfortable and secure grip. I will say, again, limited time, but they do feel nice in my hand. Angled open end allows easier work in tight spaces. Now, this is something super cool, and this is why I was so miffed. Like, you see all these details. They give you an overall length of every single wrench. So if a guy, you know, at home is like, oh, I'm working on my WRX for my girlfriend, and, you know, I can't get my 18 in there, you know, it's like it's gotta be under 5.5 inches. Well, he sees this and it's 5 1/4, and he's like, wow, this is perfect, I'm gonna buy this set. They've outlined a lot of things. They cover the open end, they cover the box end. This was the needle nose pliers over their packaging. They did not mention the crosshatch jaws. They didn't show a picture of the crosshatch jaws. They didn't come in and say, you know, smooth jaw the rest of the way, you know, for bending and forming. They didn't say no cutter. They didn't say, you know, teeth go to here, you know, and then there's nothing. Everything else I've had from Icon has been very, very good with details, you know, respectively, especially in comparison here. So when I complained about this, this is why. This is what I've sort of come to expect from Icon. You know, just a very nice showcase of the tools, sort of stick with the premium side. But yeah, so these of course are made in Taiwan. They claim they're designed engineered in the US. Not that that really offsets anything for most people, but right here, a lifetime guarantee. I can tell you right now, again, I would have loved to have gone SK. However, even though they're still in the US, they now, I don't know, like if there's leftover stock, okay? I don't know if it's a situation where they're getting like cheap steel, if they get really good steel. I don't know what Great Star is doing there, and this is something that I don't really care to find out. Now, on a ratcheting wrench, maybe, because I wouldn't be as concerned about the open end because we'd have these standard ones now. But what I'm going to do, maybe we can open this on camera. I'm going to try to save you a little bit of time. And again, I do timestamps. You're like, wow, 15 minutes and you're opening the box. It's important to me to tell you why I bought these. It's important to me to tell you what my other options were. Or in this case, there's really not other options, you know. That stuff is important to me. I could open the box up, show these, leave you with a million questions, and also crank out like a 2-minute video like the vast majority of other people. But that's just another 2-minute waste of your time, right? When I watch a video, this is what I would want to see from the person. Why on earth did they pick Icon? You know, was it on sale? Was it a really good deal? And did they find out, you know, it's rebranded Williams and made in America? Whatever the story, I want to know. The more I know, the better I can proceed either to A, purchase, or B, not purchase, right? Or C, wait for a sale on the item. But yeah, this is the little tray. Again, I personally don't like plastic trays. I prefer stuff like this. If you're curious, this was an Ernst wrench rack. Obviously, if you're like, that's not the green that they make, it's not, but they made this specifically for SK, so that's the SK green. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, I bet you'd like to put those in there. I would if it was 7. I hate doing it because it's SK, but I would love to see the SKs in orange, which they don't make. And then I'd also need a 10-piece rack, so it's kind of a sad deal. But this is not, I mean, obviously, you know, this is 7 versus 10, but like, you get the idea. This is way more compact, way more efficient. You could set an entire set of metric stubbies beside it with that configuration. But if you got the drawer space, or if you're just putting these in a cart or something, maybe this is doable. So if you're thinking like, man, those look really blurry, that's because there's a plastic cover. Now, this is mainly, in my belief, to keep people from like stealing these, right? Just come in and grab the 10 and the 13 and be done. And then your liquidated set is really sad because you're missing your 2 most frequently used sizes. But I have said, and I will continue to say, where this might actually be nice, and it will break over time and crack and splinter, and then you'll have to ditch it or something. But like if you worked in a body shop and you got your cart out there, you like disassemble, you sand, you know, you prep, whatever, it's amazing where all that dust goes. Same thing, like maybe, you know, you're a welder or you work somewhere, you know, in fab work, and you've got some guy grinding, or you're the grinder, or there's multiple grinders. That stuff goes everywhere, okay? You know, like those little gaps in your toolbox drawer, you know, you don't really think anything of because your coworker can't get his hands in there and steal stuff. It's just a tiny crack. Oh yeah, grinder debris, paint and body stuff, dust here, you know, where I live, dust. It's amazing what goes in a toolbox that you don't want in a toolbox. So these are open end, you know, they're just standard, they're not ratcheting, so it's not a huge deal. But I will say, it's kind of dumb, it's kind of cheesy, but if it's like egregiously like filthy, or maybe these sit out, you know, it's like community tools on the counter where you dismantle things, you do a lot of, you know, CRX stuff or something, and you need metric stubbies, and if you keep this lid on, they stay a little cleaner type of a deal. Again, especially for a ratcheting mechanism, being that they're standard, I don't really think it's a big deal, you know, having an open end and the, you know, box end, but it is something worth noting because it is there. But again, largely just there for theft proof, but your mileage may vary. So for most people, this is what would display in a box. I have to say it looks good, but it is, in my opinion, backwards, and I hate that. I read left to right, you know, like Mopar. This doesn't say Rap'em, okay? It's Mopar. So I would want to come over here and have the 10, right? The 10 through the 15 on this side, and then the 16 through the 19 over here. If it started at 10 at the top and went down, okay. If it had 10 at the bottom and went up, okay. Because you could, it depends how you orient it in your drawer, kind of. And what really sucks, and something that I think Icon could do that wouldn't cost much as an improvement, This is fine if like you open the drawer and here's your little, you got your SAE and your metric and you can see them all. And even though it's not how you lay it out, you can see, oh, I need the 18 for my suspension, whatever. But what happens when a guy has to do this? Okay, all of a sudden now, what is it? I don't know. I'll have to like grab this or stick my head down towards the drawer to tell you. Like, am I going to grab, if you forget what pieces there are, am I getting the 14? Oh, no, I got the 13. So something like that, kind of an annoyance. And I think the way that could be mitigated is if you just do a slight redesign here, and you would have the size labels, preferably like the bottom row here and the top row there. That way you don't even like confuse this. I know there's 4 wrenches there and 6 here, so an idiot should be able to figure that out. But to like idiot proof it, come in here and have 10, 13, 14, 15, and then up here have 16, 18, 19. You get the idea, right? And then maybe in the middle either have a tray or just like slim this down type of a thing and put your offset on the bottom. I'm not asking for a ton here, I'm just saying that I think that's an improvement. Now, the flip side is then if you've got a guy where it's like this, then you have that. So, I don't know. I think maybe if they like mirrored it, or you had 19 printed this way and that way, maybe it would work. I don't know. It's very, very hard to please everyone. So, maybe this is the compromise. I don't know, but it is what it is. How would you store these? Let me know. But what we need to do now is actually check out the wrenches, which, if you've seen the others, I kind of expect them to be the same. But we'll just go ahead and we will grab the 19 here. So, looking at our 19mm stubby. What is that? Some like smear. Possibly me, possibly not. Pretty nice. Again, the chrome, I'm more of a matte chrome guy. You should know that by now, but I mean, for people that want the typical, ooh, shiny, I think this fits the bill. It's not egregious. You don't feel any pitting. You do feel the etching there, which is good. Right here, very smooth. The jaws, there's no imperfections that I see. The chrome may be a little unevenly applied there. But again, it is covered and coated, and there's no chips and there's nothing flaking, so that's what's most important. Coming around to the box end, the 12 point. Looks like it was chromed maybe even better than the opened end. Backside here, again, very smooth. There's no burrs. Relatively thin. Not Stavilla thin, but pretty dadgum thin. Not going anywhere here. And that's about it, man. That is the Icon 19mm stubby. They do the part numbers. I'm not really sure why. I guess it just kind of look like other brands, but maybe it helps, like if you bring this in, they can, well, I got to check that thing out of a new set. What's the part number? And they like ring it up ahead of time. For comparison, I'm going to grab the SK. This is the 3/4, so 3/4 19. Very, very close. Let's just put these guys side by side. I'm going to say the SK is a little thicker, which again, that could be a pro, that could be a con. Some people that's more comfortable, some people this is more comfortable. But what I want you to pay attention to, where I'm seeing the biggest difference, is when we dip off here for the offset box end. That's neck down and a little thinner. This has way more meat. Now keep in mind, this is an old SK set, right? I don't know, they may change it, they may go to something more, Asian import style oriented. I don't really know, it's all speculation. Looking down here, and this would have been used, the SK, it's a little lighter, a little brighter, and it kind of looks like it's finished just slightly better. Again, the back end, I think you can see that difference there, but very, very similar. Now, I didn't pay much for those SKs. I can't remember what exactly they set us back, but it was a pretty solid pickup in my opinion, and it's a shame that I couldn't get a metric set at the time. But again, I'm a guy that, doesn't use metric as much, so not the end of the world. That said, we'll throw this guy back, and we're going to come in now. Actually, let's do this. This is an Icon versus Icon. Granted, this one is ratcheting. So, there we are. Really, really similar. Again, where this kicks out, it looks totally different, and that's, of course, because it's thicker, because it houses a ratcheting mechanism. So, other than that, I would say, open end to open end, really consistent across the board, which is a good sign. Now, time will tell if the consistency played a factor in breaking or lasting, but at least they are consistent. Coming up next, we'll just grab the 14 because, again, that is important to me. This is versus the 9/16 Icon. You can kind of see the comparison. Let's grab the 9/16 SK for you as well. And let's try to get this guy in the middle. So, again, not apples to apples, but again, if you can fit 9/16, you can probably fit a 14mm there. And this is a terrible way to try to do things with chrome and shop lights, but you get the idea. What chrome do you think looks better? Again, I'm not a chrome guy, even with like cars and trucks and stuff. I'm kind of more of a paint it and black it out type, but you know, they are what they are. Some of my favorite chromes, I say this time after time, but my favorite chrome wrench set that I've ever used is the Proto Challenger 500s. Not sure the era or vintage of them, but I love them. They are super smooth in hand. Of course, the chrome is like fade. It's not like, ooh, mirror polished, you know, better than E-Pros or something. They're just so comfortable in hand. But yeah, that's that. I guess you could say this is my Christmas present. So thank you, Mom. And the cool thing here, again, this is not like a lot of times, you know, I'll bring something in for comparison. Specifically for that reason, or hey, you know, I think this might be better than what I had type of a deal. I do not own any metric stubbies in any configuration or fashion, so these will be the metric stubby wrenches. So, like I said, I'd love to spring for the ratcheting set of stubbies, but that's like a luxury. This gets done what I need to get done with them if there's obstructions and whatnot. And that's what I care about the most. So unless there's like a massive sale or like a 25% off and I don't know what to get, we're probably going to hold off on ratcheting metric stubbies for a long time. But, you know, that'll give me time to use these and some others. And if I like it, great. We'll be like, you know what? It's easy for me to get to Harbor Freight. The people there know me. You know, I can just waltz in with my broken 19 and 17 and get new ones. To go to town. So like I said, it's kind of weird to me, even with, you know, like Stubby even recently did ratcheting wrenches, right? And they're of course made through Taiwan, which is sad, but they're really nice in my opinion. Very pricey though, coming from Taiwan. But what I'm getting at, with so many of the companies having a presence or partnering to kind of get products like this, again, vast majority of ratcheting wrenches will be Taiwanese. It's a situation where you think like one of them would be like, hey, let's get some stubbies, you know, and it hadn't happened to my knowledge, you know. So I try to keep up on things, but I do not know of it in existence at this time. If any of you know the Japanese wrenches I'm talking about, good Lord, those look so cool. Like I said, they could be junk. I could grab this, you know, like everyone's like, oh, that piece of trash Icon, and I could break something free. I could go to the other side of the car and I could grab that fancy Japanese one and I might break the beam in half. I don't know. But I think that's all they do is like wrenches and maybe some special. They're super cool. Maybe I'll throw a picture up if I remember. I don't know, but I mean, they're in terms of just, that's a cool wrench. That is a cool wrench. That is a super cool wrench. It's like if Stubby was like, somebody said our wrenches aren't light enough. You just, you know, come in with a laser and, you know, cut out some ovals or something. But I don't know if they'd be comfortable, uncomfortable, but they look cool, and hopefully they would be good quality. But on that note, this is what we got. I'm pretty happy with them here on the bench. Obviously, as I always tell you, time will tell. But I think for the money and for what else was and was not available, this is a pretty good item. So with that said, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you've got this set, let me know. If you have Icon ratchetings, how are they holding up? Anyone with old SK metric stubbies, let me know there as well. With that said, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope I catch you back here next week for more action from the shop.